Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Should Ole Gunnar Solskjaer be sacked? Now, I can almost assure he isn't the long-term manager for Manchester United. I think there's a chance he could be sacked at some point next season. Solskjaer must win a trophy at Manchester United to avoid the sack. That's his expectation. The FA Cup is a chance of a trophy, and the Europa League is a chance of a trophy. We haven't won a trophy since 2017, and a club of our stature need to be winning trophies. We know we're not going to win the Premier League. I disregarded the title quite a few weeks ago. We was actually in the title race earlier on in the season. To be honest with you, I don't know when we're next going to win the Premier League. We haven't won the Premier League title since 2013, so we haven't won it now for like 8 years. Top 4 is our aim in the league, and despite us drawing with Chelsea yesterday, I can almost assure we will finish in the top 4. Solskjaer did say prior to the game that the top 4 race will go down to the wire. My biggest concern about Solskjaer is his decision making. He's tactically naive, especially in the big games. We've really struggled against the top 6 sides in the Premier League this season. And people say you've got to beat the top sides if you are to be genuine title contenders. You know, drew 0-0 with Chelsea yesterday. Drew 0-0 at Liverpool. Drew 0-0 at Arsenal. Drew 0-0 with City. Drew 0-0 with Chelsea at Old Trafford earlier on in the season. Lost 6-1 to Tottenham. Lost 1-0 to Arsenal. In the vast majority of the big games, we've failed to score. If we was to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who would come in to replace him? Because there's no one available at the moment. You know, Mauricio Pochettino, he was the favourite to take over at one point. You know, actually Pochettino was the favourite to take over after Jose Mourinho got sacked. Massimiliano Allegri, he was on our agenda at one point. Julian Nagelsmann, he was on our agenda at one point. You know, maybe Wayne Rooney could be the next manager, because Wayne Rooney did say a while ago that his dream would be to manage Manchester United. We're not even really known as a sacking football club. You know, we have sacked 3 managers since Ferguson retired. You know, we sacked David Moyes after 10 months. David Moyes is the worst manager we've ever had, and Moyes enjoyed the shortest tenure with the club. We finished 7th under the David Moyes era. That's the lowest we've finished in the Premier League era. We sacked Louis van Gaal after 2 years, despite him winning the FA Cup. And we sacked Jose Mourinho after 2.5 years, despite him winning 3 trophies in his first season. I give you the reasons why it didn't work out under Mourinho is because Mourinho had bad disputes with the board. He had bad disputes with the top players, such as Rashford, Pogba, Shaw, Martial. And the board just weren't backing the signings that he wanted to recommend in. You know, our inconsistency, you can't blame it all on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Obviously, some of the blame stems from him. There's obviously certain players as well that have got to take responsibility. Solskjaer has been Manchester United manager over 2 years now. Reflecting how long he's been at the football club, he's gained some managerial experience, he's learned quite a bit on the job. But he hasn't got a proven pedigree as a manager. You know, before he was with us, he was at Molde. He won a few Norwegian titles at Molde, but they're not a big club. And before he was at Molde, he was at Cardiff, and his record at Cardiff was absolutely disastrous. Don't forget, Ollie managed the Man United reserve team for couple of years, so he watched some of this team grow and develop. Will Solskjaer sign a new contract at Man United? If he does, it probably will be at the end of this season. Narratives came out the other week saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's future is in doubt because he admitted that nobody spoke to him over a new contract. It actually said we will begin contract talks with Solskjaer at the end of the season, and we could offer him a new 2-year deal on one condition, and that's if we qualify for the Champions League. Ole's into the final 18 months of his contract. Now, a lot of United fans have said we give him the job too soon. Maybe we should have waited until the end of that season, you know, to give him the job, or decide whether or not we're going to give him the job. The main explanation we're giving the job, though, permanently in March 2019 was reflecting on what he did as the interim manager, because he did very, very well as the interim manager in his first 3 months. He won 14 games out of 19 in all competitions. We appointed Ole in December 2018 to replace Jose Mourinho. You know, we've endured bad periods under Ole. You know, prior to the Newcastle game in the league, we'd only won one of our last 5. We was very poor at the first part of this season. Ole was lucky not to be sacked at the first part of this season. You know, first part of last season we was very, very poor. We enjoyed our worst start to a Premier League season for 30 years. But we've also enjoyed good periods under Ole. And, you know, there has been some games where Ole's got the best start of the team. Performances have been good. And he has improved certain players to his credit. And we've got a very, very good away record in the Premier League. We haven't lost away from home in the Premier League for over a year. We have won a few games at Old Trafford this season, but if you've noticed, all our defeats have come at Old Trafford this season. So we've been far better away from home than we have been at home. You know, Ole's got us to the FA Cup quarter-finals to his credit, but it's going to be a tough game against Leicester. He's got us to the Europa League last 16. Going to be a tough game against AC Milan. You know, got us to the EFL Cup semi-final this season. You know, lost to Man City 2-0. You know, Ole did well last season in his first full season at the club. He guided us to 3 semi-finals, got us a 3rd place finish and got us qualification for the Champions League. Ole has got rid of a lot of the deadwood since he come in as well. And Solskjaer has made good signings as Man United manager. He has spent over £200 million. Obviously, he's brought the likes of Daniel James, and Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire in. Also brought Bruno Fernandes in and Odi Nagalo in on loan. Odi Nagalo's no longer at the club because he left in January. And obviously Solskjaer brought the likes of Donny van der Beek in, Alex Telles, Edison Cavani, Facundo Pellistri and Amad Diallo Traore. Ole has endured 4 transfer windows as permanent Man United manager so far. And I don't think he's got all the players that he wanted to recommend in as yet. So hopefully that changes in the summer. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer recently gave us an update on our transfer plans for the summer transfer window. And he said he's only interested in bringing in players that are a perfect fit for the club. I think our transfer budget has already been revealed, and it's not what a lot of Man United fans expected. But Ole confirmed he has got the backing of the owners to get the players he wants to recommend in. The board need to back him in the summer, because the board have not backed him enough so far. And Woodward's come out several times to show his support for Ole, and he did say towards the end of last year, Woodward, that he'll back Solskjaer with a long-term plan centred around summer transfer windows. We've been very, very critical of the board for a while. Main explanations is reflecting how poor our recruitment policy's been. We've also overpaid for players. And none of the managers have been backed enough since Ferguson retired. And yeah, there has been a lot of players on our agenda. Now, yesterday I did give you the news on Raphael Varane. Apparently, we've received a transfer boost with Real Madrid. Real Madrid will consider offers for Raphael Varane in the summer. Raphael Varane is valued at around 61 million, but OK Dairo recently said that Real Madrid have reduced their asking price for Raphael Varane to £43 million. The AS said that talks over extending his deal have not settled. Us, Liverpool and PSG are interested. Raphael Varane has been a long-serving player at Real Madrid. He's been with them around 10 years now. He's made over 300 appearances. He's won 18 major honours. Real Madrid paid around €10 million for him from Lens back in 2011, was it? And he's the age of 27, so he's highly experienced. I think he'd go very, very well alongside Harry Maguire in our back line. You know the news on Jules Koundé. He's still on our agenda. There was narratives coming out the other week saying that Jules Koundé is our top target. But we're unwilling to meet his £68 million release clause, but we are still interested. It actually said we are prepared to pay around £61 million for him, and Lirazion came out a few weeks ago and said we are considered the favourites to sign him. Jules Koundé's performances for Sevilla have actually been very, very good. Sevilla paid £22 million for him from Bordeaux in the summer of 2019. And he's got a contract with Sevilla until 2024. Now, you know the news on Jadon Sancho from Borussia Dortmund. There's been recent narratives coming out saying that we are preparing to put a £50 million bid in for Sancho. Another narrative said we can sign Sancho for as little as £75 million in the summer, but it says we're no longer the favourites to get him. Jadon Sancho has broke a Bundesliga record because obviously he got his 50th assist for Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund's CEO recently made an admission saying that Sancho, Haaland and more Dortmund stars could be sold to avoid financial chaos. Sports Build said we are still very interested in signing Sancho. The Athletic said different. They said that we paused our transfer pursuit of Sancho due to Mason Greenwood. Bild said earlier on this season that Dortmund reduced their asking price for Sancho to £88 million. So they're not £20 million off, because Borussia Dortmund's valuation last summer was £108 million. We was not willing to meet that valuation, but Sancho was our #1 priority target last summer. But he said a few times last summer that the personal terms had been agreed, the agent fees had been agreed, and even a contract had been agreed. But the actual fee was a stumbling block. And Fabrizio Romano, who's a very reliable Italian journalist, he's spoken a lot about the Jadon Sancho transfer saga. And so too has Bild's Christian Falk. Dortmund said to us last summer that we had until the 10th of August to sign the player. We missed out on that deadline, so Sancho remained at Dortmund. Sancho's under contract with Dortmund till 2023. Dortmund paid just £8 million for him from Man City back in 2017. And Erling Haaland, as you all know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would love to sign Haaland. And it would be good to see Solskjaer reunite with him. Solskjaer knows the player well, because Solskjaer was the one that gave Erling Haaland his debut at just the age of 16 at Molde. Solskjaer did say prior to the game against Sociedad in the second leg that he's keeping in touch with Haaland. If Haaland is to be sold in the summer though, Dortmund will demand in the excess of £100 million. Next year he does have a £68 million release clause. His agent Mino Raiola revealed that there's only 4 Premier League clubs that can afford Erling Haaland. Sky Sports said not so long ago that Dortmund will sell Haaland for around £78 million in the summer. But yeah, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is following his progress. So I'm expecting us to make around 3 or 4 signings in the summer. A centre-back and a forward are the 2 priorities. But like I said, it was a disappointing January transfer window for us, because we only saw one arrival, and that was Amad Diallo Traore. But Ollie said a few times during the January transfer window that I wasn't expecting any signings. More players are going to leave Man United in the summer transfer window. I think we need to sell Anthony Martial in the summer. There was reports coming out yesterday saying that we will sell Martial on one condition, and that's if we can win the battle to sign Erling Haaland. Apparently Inter Milan are looking at Anthony Martial. Inter Milan have bought quite a few players offers. Obviously they got Lukaku offers, Ashley Young, Alexis Sanchez, Darmian. Martial has been out of form for the vast majority of this season. He's obviously had chances, but he hasn't converted them. Solskjaer did say prior to the game against Chelsea that he has been impressed with Martial's work rate. And he's actually backed him to rediscover his form. Edison Cavani's overtaken Anthony Martial now. You know, Martial, though, was good last season, and he was good in his debut season under Louis van Gaal. He's been at the club now over 5 years. If we were to sell Martial in the summer, I think we'd get around £30 million. Ollie made a mistake by bringing Martial on yesterday in the game against Chelsea. I think there's a good chance that we'll offload Juan Mata in the summer. Solskjaer did say prior to the game against Sociedad that he's not surprised that Juan Mata is linked to a move away from the club. Apparently there's been 3 Italian clubs that have been interested in him. Well, yeah, Juan Mata's out with injury at the moment. He's out for a couple of weeks. But he doesn't get in the team now, does he? You know, he seldom plays. Earlier on this season, Mata rejected an £18 million a year contract offer to play in Saudi Arabia. I think Mata's had a good career at Man United. He's been at the club over 6 years. He's made over 200 appearances in all competitions and he's scored 50 goals. We got Juan Mata in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea back in 2014. But yeah, his current contract expires in the summer. There's an option to extend his contract for a further year. I'm expecting Phil Jones to leave the club this year. I'm surprised he didn't leave in January, but Solskjaer came out and said that Phil Jones is going to be given a second chance. Phil Jones was out of injury for like over a year. Is he still injured at the moment? I'm not sure. But he doesn't get in our team. You know, this is Phil Jones' 10th season at Manchester United. So he's been a long servant and he's the only outfield player that's still here from the Sir Alex Ferguson era. A lot of United fans are saying that we need to offload Victor Lindelof because Victor Lindelof is a liability. Solskjaer needs to take Lindelof out of the team and he needs to play Bay ahead of Lindelof because Bay's a much better centre-half than Lindelof, and Bay and Harry Maguire complement each other very well in our back line. Bay can intercept the ball. He shows the ability to play out from the back. He can be effective in the air. My only element of concern about Bay is that he's injury prone. So in that aspect, he is a liability. Apparently, we've been in talks over getting Bay a new deal at the club. He's attracting interest though, is Eric Bay. But yeah, if we sell Victor Lindelof this summer, maybe we can get from between 15 to 20 million pounds. Don't forget, Solskjaer said the other week that he's prepared to sell either De Gea or Dean Henderson in the summer. I think it should be De Gea. You know what, to De Gea's credit, he did well against Chelsea yesterday. He made some good saves. Now, most of his saves were straightforward saves, but he made one very, very good save to deny Hakim Ziyech. Hakim Ziyech's chance was the best chance of the game. De Gea has enjoyed good games this season, to his credit. There's also been games where he hasn't been so good. De Gea will remain our number one for at least this season. He's been a long servant at the club. This is his 10th season at Manchester United, so he has been with us since the Sir Alex Ferguson era. But Ollie has already warned De Gea that his number one jersey is under threat, and Paul Scholes recently said that De Gea is becoming a real problem for Man United. Apparently, we are looking at Donnarumma as a possible replacement for De Gea, but if we sold De Gea in the summer, we'd get from between 50 to 60 million pounds. In the last couple of years, he's made calamitous mistakes, and reflecting on that, he's become a liability. But a few years ago, he was regarded as the best goalkeeper in the world. So I said Solskjaer's been facing a goalkeeping dilemma, and Dean Henderson, I think he's reliable enough now to become our number one because he has got that experience behind him. He enjoyed 2 successful loans with Sheffield United, and he's done well in the games he's played in this season. Henderson has threatened to quit Man United if he's not assured the number one role. And we've revealed our asking price, it's £40 million. But if we do let Dean Henderson go again, I don't think we'll let him go permanently, to be honest with you. I think we'll let him go out on loan. We can't let him go permanently because he's got a lot of development in him. Last time I read up from Sky Sports, it said that Dortmund and Tottenham were leading the race for Henderson. And yeah, Chelsea and West Ham have also been interested. Solskjaer's already admitted that it's becoming more and more difficult to leave Dean Henderson out of the side. And Paul Pogba, he could still leave the football club in the summer. But like I've said to you, we haven't been the same team since Ferguson retired. And a lot of United fans said we wasn't going to be the same team when Ferguson retired. No one's going to replicate what Ferguson did at the club. And no one's going to last as long as Ferguson did, because Ferguson endured a 27-year tenure at Man United. He won 30-odd trophies, including 13 Premier League titles. Ferguson didn't settle in straight away, though, because he didn't win out in his first 4 years at Manchester United. And I've already said to you, it takes some managers time to settle in. Good job we didn't sack Ferguson in that 4-year period when he didn't win anything, because we wouldn't have had any success. Ferguson brought success to the club. Because before Ferguson, we was inconsistent. You know, we weren't good under Atkinson, we weren't good under Wolf McGuinness, and we weren't good under Frank O'Farrell. We actually got relegated under Frank O'Farrell back in 1974. I think there's mistakes that have been made in the last, 7.5, 8 years. That's one of the main explanations why we haven't been that consistent. Ferguson made one mistake, and that was ever recommending David Moyes in. I think a lot of the players we've brought in since Ferguson retired haven't been the right calibre players for Man United. And we've brought around, 37 players in since Ferguson retired, and we've spent over £1 billion. Yeah, we've made a mistake as well by overpaying for players in recent years. You can probably say at this moment in time that we made a mistake by recommending Woodward and the Glazers into the club. And like I said, maybe we made a mistake by giving Solskjaer the job permanently, because we give him it too soon. And maybe there's some players that we've let go who we shouldn't have let go. You can say we probably should have kept Lukaku and we should have kept Ander Herrera. But Ole Solskjaer knew when he taken over at Man United, it was going to be a big job. Despite him knowing the culture of the club and that. He knew he had to come in and bring consistency back to Man United. And in periods, he's brought consistency back. He knew he had to come in and get the right players in. And he's made some good signings, but hasn't got all the players that he wanted in as yet. He knew he had to come in and, you know, get rid of the dead wood. And to his credit, he has done that. You know, maybe people are thinking Solskjaer's in a position he shouldn't be really in. You know? And Solskjaer, don't forget, he's inheriting players from other managerial eras. But yeah, it was a disappointing result yesterday against Chelsea. Drew 0-0 with them. It was a boring game, to be honest with you. It really, really was. You know, there was some chances in the game. You know, Olivier Giroud had 2 good chances for Chelsea. Hakim Ziyech had the best chance of the game. You know, we had some chances as well. You know, Rashford had a good chance from a free kick. Produced a good save from Mendy. You know, McTominay had a good chance. Produced a good save from Mendy. Fred had 2 good chances as well. Mason Greenwood had a chance that just went wide. That was the only shot Mason Greenwood had the whole game. And you know, that was really it. The VAR penalty decision was the talking point of the game. Obviously, we had a penalty overturned by VAR. It actually did hit Callum Hudson-Odoi's hand. He was in a tussle with Mason Greenwood. Solskjaer gave his perception on it, and he said it was 100% nailed on penalty. Solskjaer's come out and said that rivals have turned referees against Man United. But we had to win that game yesterday. And we didn't. A draw's better than losing. To be fair though, Chelsea are doing really, really well under Tuchel. You know, they still remain unbeaten under Tuchel. You know, yesterday was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's 5th meeting with Tuchel. You know, Solskjaer's beaten Tuchel twice and Tuchel's beaten Ole Gunnar Solskjaer twice. But we haven't really got a good record at Stamford Bridge. Paul Pogba, you know, he's still out injured. You can say he's a big miss because we're lacking quality in that midfield without Paul Pogba. We're too defensive, you know, without Paul Pogba. You know, we can't rely on McTominay and Fred every single game. Paul Pogba's going to be out for a few more weeks. That was confirmed by Ollie because Pogba has got a thigh injury. Cavani's obviously out with injury as he now missed our last 4 games, Edison Cavani. He's got a muscle injury. To be honest with you, I don't know how severe the injury is. So we've only got 3 injuries now. Mata, Edison Cavani and Paul Pogba. McTominay's just come back from injury. Daniel James sustained a knock in our 0-0 draw with Real Solskjaer. And James has been playing a lot recently. But yeah, our next game is against Crystal Palace. The preview for that will be coming up today. It's a must-win game for Man United. But top 4 is not safe yet. It really isn't. But I still think, you know, there's players that are really, really improving at Man United. You know, Shaw's done very well this season. Dean Henson's done well in the games he's played in. And Wan-Bissaka's enjoyed some good games this season. Bay's done well in the games he's played in. Pogba's done well in recent months. Fred's improving. Rashford's doing well. Greenwood's doing well. Cavani's done well since he's come in. So like I said, our current squad is good enough to finish at least in the top 4. So anyway guys, that's everything to update you today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribing as always. And take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.